So I've got a question for you. But before that, did you know that God will never give us more than we can take? No, He never will. What made you stay? The question. What made you stay after the first time He hit you? And what made you remain to become His punching bag? Sensitive, I know. I ask because nothing prepares you for when somebody lays their hands on you. Nothing prepares you for life, period, right? So, back in 2011, after much persuasion from my father, I decided to come back to Nigeria to do my National Youth Service Corps. And so, at the airport in Abuja, I was flying from Abuja to Port Harcourt, right? And he sat beside me and we hit it off right away. And we started talking, kind of made the wait because we were stuck in the airport due to flight delay from Arik. He made the time go by faster, the chat and all of that. So it was really funny. Finally, the plane lands and it's time for us to board. And we all get up, and all 7 foot of him stands in front of me. I must have missed when he came to sit beside me. And I knew he was tall, right, from his legs, but nothing prepares you for 7 foot. So yes, I have a thing for tall men. Anyway, yes, they have showed me shiggy, and yes, I'm still going for them. Anyways, we board the flight. This is going to be a good story. I'm a good storyteller, but you can't make this shit up. He sits beside me on the plane as well. So I remember this because our flight was a bit turbulent, and so I remember us encouraging ourselves, right, and all of that. And this is how I know that he was Catholic. And so when he was lying to my father about being Christian, I know that was just bullshit. Anyways, so we don't meet up in Port Harcourt at all. But the documents that I need to register for NYSC are incomplete, and so I request them from Canada, and then I have to go submit them in person in Abuja. So I head back to Abuja, and he was already back there. And he picks me up from the airport, takes me to the federal secretariat. It's very nice, helps me out with, submitting all my documents and all of that. That's the first time that I got to see that money moves things around in Nigeria faster and all of that. So, anyways, we were done. I was finally registered. We went for a late lunch. After he was like, "Oh, let me take you for a drive around town, show you in Abuja, show you around Abuja." It was my first time in Abuja, and I was like, "Sure, why not?" I would admit that, I didn't think things were that. So for me to see those houses, I was like, wow. And my eyes were like shining and everything. And next thing I hear, look at your big eyes shining. I'm sure one politician will come and take you away from me now very soon. Confused. I tell myself, Lulu, you saw the red flags, babe, but you ignored. They were there. The red flags are always there. Did you ever feel like you deserved it? Like you deserved to get hit? Did you ever feel like you deserved to get punched and beat over and over again? Because I know some of us, our mothers have told us that our mouth is bad and all of that, right? But did you ever feel like you deserved to be treated like that? And so you just accepted that that's how it's gonna be. Anyways, the NYSC program is for 1 year. With 3 weeks, you have to be in camp for orientation. So that's when you do your drilling, you wake up in the morning, you go to the field, different things and all of that. So fast forward to a couple of days later, I eventually work my PPA to Abuja, because after 2 decades of being out of Nigeria, I wanted soft landing when I came in. So I chose Abuja, and it was fun. It was good. 2 weeks into camp, you're allowed to have visitors and all of that. So I didn't have anybody else in Abuja. So obviously I was like, sure, he can come and visit me, right? So he came in, we got a spot, in Mami Market. So anyways, we find a spot and we're sitting down and, we're chatting and all of that. And then he takes my hand and, in his and all. The next thing, his grip starts to tighten on my wrist and my palm. And I'm like, I love this, stuff like that. And then he goes, I heard that you've been, hanging around with boys and stuff and moving around with boys. Nigga, have you seen what I look like? I'm confused. A fine girl on campus with accent. You think boys are not gonna talk to her? I'm really confused. But I didn't say that. I just said, what do you mean? How do you mean? And he goes, yeah, I paid 2 policemen to watch you, and they told me that you've been hanging around with boys. I was like, yo, I should have believed this man. I should have believed this guy. And he starts to raise his voice and everything, and your girl does not like embarrassment for anything. I'm like, let's go outside and talk, and all of that. And so he's like, going off, and like he's like, I should have known that you just came to this Abuja to just, sleep around and meet. I just walk away. I was just like, I can't deal with this. Fast forward to the end of camp. He apologizes and sorry and all of that. He even comes to pick me up. Now, what I didn't tell you was when I had actually come in a day earlier, I left my stuff at his house, right? Because he had taken me to his house, cooked for me and everything, right? And so I left some stuff that I had just brought with me that I didn't want to take to camp. So my passports and shit like that, just in case the opportunity came out for me to dip out and I had to dip, right? And I don't know why I left it in his house. Yo, this is why I don't date like freely, because I I mean when it comes to the relationship, I act a fool and naive and shit like that. So probably sure he didn't even know that I left it there. Anyways, so when he had done this, I had already decided. When he had done this at Mami Market, I had already decided that I wasn't going. Like the anger was just too much for me. This is why I say God will never give us more than we can take, because I could smother a motherfucker in his sleep if he laid his hands on me. I thought I could do that. I really did. I bet you thought that too. Like, I can't do jail time, y'all. The color orange is beautiful, but in a jumpsuit, I'm not just sure about that. I can't do jail time. I had already found where I was going to be staying for the remainder of my service. So I just get my stuff from his house and everything. So we get to his house, he apologizes, he's sorry, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't usually get angry. Like, this guy didn't look like he could hurt a fly. He was just like, it's just because, you're a good looking girl and blah, 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 the excuses that they make. So I admit that I succumbed. I fell. I relaxed. And anyways, we shag and we're chilling. We're just resting and chilling and stuff on his bed. And I don't know what I said. I must have been talking about politics and politicians and how my story's about camp. And he just flares and gets angry again. Jumps off the bed and starts to shout like, I know that's what you came to this Abuja to do, just to find men, this one, that one. Just all 7 foot of him standing above me. And I just got up because I didn't want it to be heard. Like, I got choked in the back, in the BQ of one house in the middle of nowhere. This was my first time in Abuja. No one knew where I was, probably, right? So I was scared. And so I jumped up and I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I got up from the bed. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Your anger is just too much, blah, blah, blah. And he grabs my phone and rushes into the bathroom, closes the door. I was like, I didn't bother to think twice. I just started packing my stuff and, getting ready. And when I was done packing, I started hitting the door. I'm like, yo, I need my phone. I need to go. I would not realize this later, but he had actually taken my phone to collect my father's number. I guess by then I didn't really have a password on my phone, but he had taken my father's number to cause a series of other events that were to follow. Not getting into that right now. But he comes out of the bathroom eventually, throws the phone on the bed, grabs me and throws me against the wall. Nothing prepares you for when life happens. Absolutely nothing. And so when it happened, I stopped breathing for about 5 to 6 seconds. And all I could think was, is this me? Is this really happening to me? And I don't know, y'all. My mother's prayers be working, but he must have seen my reaction and he just stepped back. because they usually do catch themselves once in a while. So he must have realized, and he stepped back. And y'all, I just used that opportunity to grab my phone, grab my things, and I was out of there. I had not called an Uber. There was no Uber at that point in time, but I just knew that I had to get in front and out of his reach. When he would hit you, did it at any point in time feel like the punches were getting lighter? Like the kicks were getting lighter? Did you ever think that maybe he was like, yeah, okay, definitely changing this time around? I ask because in case you have forgotten, in case you are unaware, the power to create, and not just create, but form and nurture another human being in the inside of you. That power is in you, in case you have forgotten. Some of us on our own might not be functioning well, but the power still remains in you. I'm not going to come here and tell you what to do. No, in case that's what you were thinking. No, I'm not about that. But I want to just remind you that if you're staying for your children, you're letting them form an image of what they should either be doing or getting done to them. That's what you're doing. And so I want to remind you of that power that you hold. And that nobody, no matter what, like I said, maybe sometimes you feel like your mouth is bad. No matter what, nobody deserves that sort of treatment. So I just said, let me just come and remind you. It's something that I've always wanted to talk about, but it's a very sensitive subject. Hey, y'all. It's a very sensitive subject. And maybe I know some of us, our mothers, may not have, would not have told you to get out or something like that, right? But, and I will not tell you that either, but get the fuck out if it's not working for you anymore. Please.